G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Today I'm interviewing Jackson McGrath from Greenstreat. He's based in Brisbane, Australia. Thanks for your time today, Jackson.
No worries, Joey. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with how we know each other. I read an article on news.com.au a while ago and reached out on LinkedIn. I thought you'd have a great business growth story to share with our audience so they can learn.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an exciting journey. So happy to be here.
We'll tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does, and how it makes money.
So I think we probably need to step back a little bit and talk about how it started. Greenstreat was a byproduct of finding an issue within Australia. So me and my family have another business called Hobart Fine Foods, which makes condiments, sauces, dressings, and we used to sell it at every farmer's market we could possibly go to up the east coast of Australia and supply IGAs, independent supermarkets and grocers. So we used to pack the car. We used to make the product. One of them is the poppy seed dressing, which is one actually champion product at Hobart Fine Food Awards. So we make it, pack the car, drive up to Brisbane and do as many markets as we possibly could do. We couldn't afford to freight it up there at that point in time. So we spent a lot of time getting to know each other, that's for sure. But every market that we went to, we found the same problem. And it was that people wanted real food. They wanted to know what was in their food. They weren't willing to put up with shit. And that's what the fast food industry was providing at that point in time. So the more markets we did and the more people we talked to, it just became clearer and clearer. Jesse and I wanted to get into something a little more, and we knew we could make a difference in this area. So we started Greenstreat in February 2018 and haven't looked back. But we sell good, feel-good food to as many people as we can possibly sell it to. And our mission's pretty simple. We just want to make people feel good, and we want to make as many people in Australia feel good and be able to access it. That's probably the hardest part.
Yep. Great. And how many locations do you have at the moment?
I've got 5 at the moment.
Yep.
But looking to get that rolling now.
And which cities or whereabouts are they?
So we've got a couple regionally. So Albury, Wodonga. I started in Albury in New South Wales. Then we went over the border to Wodonga.
I grew up an hour from there. I used to play football in Wodonga.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I played for Albury Tigers. So, we've just opened one recently in Lavington, which is an outer suburb of Albury. But we've got one in Brisbane, and we just recently opened up in Swan Street, Richmond.
Nice, great.
Yeah.
And how did you start out? So 2018.
Yep. Opened the doors 2018. Naive.
Yep.
And energetic, which was a blessing in disguise, really. So we just opened those doors, and luckily we had we didn't need any PR, we didn't need anything to help get people through the door. People knew who we were. That's the beauty of growing up in a small town, is that people do know who you are, and your name really helps people to come and try and support you. So we opened up that door, and I think within the first 10 minutes of opening that door, we had a line out the door. And the point of sale shit itself. I couldn't get any transactions happening. The fridge collapsed on itself. Luckily, the food was good. And I was just saying, enjoy your meal. See you later. Enjoy it. Don't worry about paying today. Come back again. But that line was there from day one. And in Albury, it's been 5 years now, and that's still happening. And we're still kicking goals there, and we're still enjoying it every day, which is great.
That's awesome. And how old were you back in 2018 when you started this?
Oh, good question. I would have been 27.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And do you have some key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business over those 5 years?
Yep. So I remember starting on that first day. we turned
Sale
over.
sales would have been zero if the point of sale
Yeah,
CAC.
yeah. It was, yeah. I think it was about $100,
Yeah.
which would have been the early sales. But yeah, I remember those first couple of days and weeks. We were like clocking $1,000 a day, and we're like, oh yeah, it's got room to grow here. No need to worry about it. Blah blah blah. It kept growing and growing until we got to a point where I remember Jesse, my brother, saying, "One day we're going to crack 4K a day easily." And at that time, with our numbers, we were like, "Yeah, good luck." With our hours of operation, how busy and how congested it was at certain periods of time. Yeah, good luck. I'd love to see that. Fast forward to today, the store does 15K days. Um, so it's just continued to grow over that period. Then we opened up in Wodonga. So as I said, doing $1,000 in a day was good. We opened that first day in Wodonga. We did 10K in the first day,
Holy shit.
which shows the brand recognition in that area.
Because for the audience, they're twin cities either side of the border between New South Wales and Victoria. So, it's like a 15-minute drive.
Yeah, that's right. It's not far, and it's interesting because opening that store, it was probably fast forwarded because of COVID, that we were looking at our other spots. But Wodonga's been screaming out since day one, like when he come into Wodonga. But we were scared of cannibalizing our revenue in Albury, and we weren't sure of what it would look like. But it's just increased both stores, which is incredible, and it just shows that when you've got a regional town behind you, it can do great and wonderful things. So. Yeah, that was an awesome eye opener for us. And we always said if we can make it in Albury, we can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
My just a bit of a backstory on my family. They've had restaurants in Albury and Falls Creek for years. Dad was a great chef, always ahead of his time. He started to do a lot of his stuff, and that's probably a byproduct of why Jesse and I are so forward thinking with health and all this sort of stuff. So that we saw what works and what doesn't work, being around and in a restaurant from a young age, doing dishes from 8 and baking bread from 12 years old, and before
Yep.
school and after school. You just see it. You just see what it's like, and even though you don't know at that time that you're taking it all in, you look back and you think, oh yeah, there's a reason that I'm doing fast casual, not a restaurant. There's a reason that if I want to make a big impact in Australia, you just can't do that on scale with a big restaurant. It needs to be small and agile, and be able to, open up and be that cookie cutter at some point in time.
Yeah. And what are your aspirations, you and Jesse, like number of stores you've got in mind you want to get to, or
We always
franchise?
said that hundred that
Yep.
hundred would be the big, hairy, audacious goal that
Yep.
we set our sights to. Yeah, for us it's about mentality. We're trying to get our. We've always been thinking like long term. You put that number against it, and all of a sudden, you hit that 100, and then what?
Yep.
For us, it's like we've sort of switched to, if we really want to truly make it an impact on the Australian market, we just have to keep going. We just have to set our sights for further than Australia, because that's, by doing that, you are gonna hit your mission of just getting it to as many people as you possibly can in Australia. If you can't get it in their mouth, then you're not living your mission.
Yep.
So we're just going to keep going, going, going. And looking back at the past 5 years, there's been some big challenges there, and some fantastic rewards. So while we're enjoying it, and while we've got our health, we think we just have to keep going, going, going.
That's good. And are you considering franchising it at some point, or keeping those 100 stores just in the group?
Yeah, at the moment, just in the group.
Yeah.
We Our biggest goal is to surround ourselves with good people,
Yeah.
and we have a fantastic level of. We have a great foundation of people within Greenstreat from all different walks of life. They've come from, we've got a couple of radiographers, we've got school teachers, we've got accountants, we've got so many different great and wonderful people. So we really want to keep growing from within Greenstreat. I feel there's a bit of a stigma around fast food franchises in Australia. So we're just to be able to change that mentality, we need to take control of it, and we need to understand exactly what it looks like for us. So, if you ask me in 5 years' time, it could be a completely different story. But for right now, yeah, it's just Greenstreat growing within.
And if you considered, or do you have in place an employee share ownership plan, an ESOP?
Not not as such. We do have availabilities for our leaders to invest into stores that they look after, and that's something that's already happening. The ESOP is something that we are looking at, but obviously it's a big thing to get set up. But it's a fantastic incentive for your staff and your for your key staff to get involved with. There's some great examples out there in the Australian market that have done it so well, and they've benefit from it greatly. So we're definitely looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a great cast with Craig West. He's a subject matter expert on this, on ESOPs, and I just remember the stats. I was blown away. He leans on a lot of international studies into ESOPs, but your retention of your team can double. So from around 5 years to just under 10 years with an ESOP, and productivity can increase between 7 and 23% because the employees that are in that scheme start thinking like business owners. I'll shoot that cast through to you. It's about 20 minutes long. It's a really
Yeah, do yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. We do a lot of research into this sort of stuff, and it for us, it's all about the people.
yeah
And to get people, or to get great humans around you, you need to give them some of what you're doing. They need to feel that ownership. Otherwise, you're just going to be another stat with a high turnover of staff.
yeah. It sounds like that could be a better model than trying to franchise it. Just find great people,
Yeah,
give
yeah.
them some shares, look after them. Yeah,
To actually look after the product, it's
yeah,
really important. Yeah.
yeah. And what about number of full-time team members that you started with 5 years ago? How many roughly of that first store?
uh, initially there was two. There was me and my brother.
Yeah.
Um, Jesse was in the kitchen. I was at the front. Uh, but as I said, that first day was baptism of fire. We worked out pretty quickly that we were grossly understaffed.
Yeah, I
So
think so. Two people. Geez.
no, we had a couple of. I think we had about nine all up, but just casuals, and and yeah, we quickly changed that and got some more full timers in. I think we ended up with pretty quickly having four full timers in the kitchen and two or three out the front. But we had about 40 staff members all up in that first store, which is high for what it is. And but for us, it's like that's the energy. The people are the energy. So even though the wages were way higher than what we currently have or thought we needed to get to, for us it was the numbers will look after themselves if you're just providing the customers with that experience, or not just the customers. I mean, we call our staff members hooligans. If we give the hooligans and we give the people an experience that they leave better than they arrived, it doesn't matter who it is, then everything's going to look after itself. And for us, we knew that we'd be able to tweak and tighten up as we go when it made sense. So that's what we've done. And you fast forward to today, we've got about 45 full timers on the books with a lot more stores and a lot bigger operation.
Yeah. What's your total head count?
So that's 45 for the full timers. I'm not sure about permanent part timers, but it's sitting around about that 180
Wow.
in total
Yeah.
across the 5 sites.
So you'd have about either side of 100 full-time equivalents, including those part-timers or casual.
It's something around that, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know the exact figure, but yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic growth. Well done, Jackson.
Thank you. Appreciate it, mate.
When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
It's a good question. I don't think I've succeeded. In my mindset isn't that. As I said before, like we've got a long-term mindset of trying to do good things in Australia. Until we get more stores, you can't possibly think you've succeeded. Until we get more meals into the hands of Australians, it just to me doesn't feel like success. I'm also a big believer of if you, as an analogy, if you go for a run and you're going for a 5K run on that given day, you should be doing 10K, but once you get past that 5K mark, you're just going to stop. You're just going to give up. But what's the point? You may as well just keep going. So for me, yeah, it's it's really important that we keep going. Success will come naturally when we've changed the way Australians eat, and especially around that fast food.
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer your question, mate, no, I don't feel success has come yet.
Well, what does success look like to you then?
Success is a healthy Australia. Success is people knowing exactly what they're eating. I think the gap between people that actually know what they're eating and people that count their micros, macros, nutrients every day versus the everyday punter who just thinks that they've had a burger with lettuce on it, so it's healthy. I think that gap's just grown too far. I think where we come into it is bridging that gap and getting the majority of people to understand exactly what they're eating. And that I'm not naive. I know that's near impossible, but if we can just get a little bit more educated about what we're putting in our bodies, it's going to have huge benefits to the Australian everything, really.
Yeah, I love to cook, so I'm a big fan of Jamie Oliver, but also his work around the eating more healthily, both in the UK and America. He did some great work there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it starts with the roots, like it does. It starts with the kids. You need to educate them properly.
Yeah. Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
Um, it needs to be fresh. It needs to be relevant. Marketing. I think if you, I think if you're dishonest in marketing now, you get found out. You could say that you've got. Sorry, 5, 10 years ago, you could say that you're an organic food business, and only source 20% of organic food from a farmer or something like that. But you'd probably get away with it. Whereas if you do that now, because we're so connected, everyone knows what's going on. Everyone can see right around that, and there's only a matter of time before you're going to get found out. And I love that because transparency is huge for us. There's no point in just hiding behind, oh, I want to be perceived as doing this. Like, let's actually do it. So my biggest thing for marketing is it has to just be transparent, relevant, like what we're actually doing in store, what the customers are actually feeling and eating. That's our marketing. That's what we want to try and do. Like you need to practice what you preach. You need to show them how you're doing it.
Be
Just
authentic.
Yeah, be authentic and be transparent.
And how did you fund the business?
So we did. We started off with Greenstreat. I guess leveraged off McGrath Fine Foods, which is our other business, to start number one. So we're fortunate enough to be in that position to be able to do that. Fast forward now, and how we've continued to fund, we've worked with banks and just self-funded the growth so far. I think there's a lot of pros and cons to what you do and how you fund and how you find that money. I mean, there's a lot of money out there to get. You just have to be really careful about, who you surround yourself with and who you get into the business, because they can't. Money's one thing. As I said, you can find it anyway. If you're getting external funding or if you're getting money from somewhere else, you need to make sure that they're a stakeholder that's with you for the ride, and that's been important for us. And that's at this point in time, we self-fund where possible and then get bank loans,
So you
just
haven't
to bridge that gap.
Yeah, haven't taken investors on apart from the family.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, no, so we have got another. My old footy coach actually is now a part owner of the business, but that just worked with a transition of the buyout.
Yep. If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
That's such a good question. I think I have to. I think about all the challenges that I've had so far, and they've been great. The self development you get from overcoming those challenges outweighs everything else. But with the question being, would I go into it again? I have to. I have to, because I can see the impact I can see what needs to happen. I can see that the impact I can have, or Greenstreat can have, on Australia, and I don't think I'd be able to live with myself if I didn't give it a crack and do it again. So yes, I would.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so audience can learn from it?
Yep. One in particular has been recently, and that's, I think, putting structure into the business, making sure that you're growing and you stabilize the foundations while it grows and scales. One thing that's hard is to identify the right people and take off those hats and trust the system and trust who you're working with. It's your baby. You've done it for since day one, so it's one of the most stressful things was the timing. You know, I guess just passing on the baton and watching it work, and then the system you've built around it, whether it's going to hold up what the great people that you put in that position. You don't want to let them down either. So I think the most stressful thing comes from self doubt about what you've already done or what you're trying to do because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
The most stressful is probably because it's recently just putting people in the right area and letting them do what they do best because you know they're better than you. You know they're smarter than you in that area. It's just about trusting that now.
And it's hard to let go as business owners or entrepreneurs.
It is. It
Mm.
is. Yeah.
What area of business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
I'd say structure. I would. I'd say making sure that there's a very big difference between a small family-run business and scaling, and it's chalk and cheese. Uh, it's very easy to have a big impact on one restaurant or two restaurants in the same area. As soon as you start to spread out, I mean, we did it the hard way. We went straight from Albury and went 2,000 kilometers north up to Brisbane, so we spread ourselves real thin really quickly. So it's really hard to have the same impact every day. Um, yeah, so I'd say that, mate.
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
I probably wouldn't say I've not enjoyed anything of it. I think there's just challenges that come with it. I think I think probably the self doubt when it creeps in and having tools to get around that and to trust the system, to trust the people. Um, the just getting everyone on the same boat. Everyone has a different personality. Everyone has a different idea of what success is and where they want to take it and all that sort of stuff. So it's before you have a very stable foundation for structure, you do have these elements of like, okay, let's try and curve this and keep everyone on the same boat, going in the same direction. I think that's probably one of the hardest things I've had to deal with over the past couple of years is just get everyone on the same mindset with the same goal.
Yeah, it's hard as a leader to clarify that, define it, and then obviously communicate it consistently. But yeah, it sounds like you're well on the path.
Yep, yep, absolutely.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
The people, absolutely the people. I mean, it's the hardest thing. It's the best thing. The people that you meet, the people that you share the small wins with because you grinded it out together. It's the people that get me out of bed every day. And mainly within Greenstreat, I enjoy when I walk into a store. Like I'm about to go around the corner to the Brisbane site, and when you walk in store, you just get this energy and you just get this vibe, and it's like this is what it's all about. Like this is why I started Greenstreat, and you immerse yourself with this, and all the people are just so great. So every single day you get that energy. It's just fantastic.
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Uh, Thinking bigger picture. I've always been good at thinking bigger picture, but making it become a reality. It's great to have a bigger picture out there and a goal that you're trying to get to, but you need to start chipping away at that, and you need to start to pull some of those lines to put into motion. Yeah,
And the number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
smile,
Mm.
smile. Like smile is contagious. It's very easy to do. It changes your mood. It changes everyone's mood around you. There's a million habits that you could learn, and there's ways that you can just make sure that you're doing everything every single day. But everything that you read, everything that you listen to, there's another habit to achieve, and by doing that, you're probably going to forget the last one you had. But
Yeah.
they say building habits, takes 21 days or whatever it is.
It actually takes 66 days. There's no foundation.
66 days.
Yeah, there's no foundation to 21 days. Someone just wrote about it in the 1950s, I think, but there's no studies done underlying that. And they've done studies obviously since there, but it's actually just over 2 months, 66 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a big investment for every habit that you want to put in. But just a simple one that has worked for me the whole way through is just smile.
Yeah.
It really just resonates with everyone.
Jump over to growersmallbusiness.com and leave your details to get a short 2-minute email I send on Fridays to help small business owners like you become better leaders. I include some reading or professional development resources I've discovered in the last week.
Perfect question for you. You would have hired well over 200 people, I'm sure, because your team's about 180 now, and I'm sure some didn't work out. Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
Yeah, so I think I've been very fortunate to have a great team and a great experience in building the team and not having high turnover of staff. I think that comes with excitement and energy around building Greenstreat. They're almost starting from the ground up and coming on that journey with you. So I've been very fortunate to get some great people in early, and obviously I wouldn't be able to do what I've done without having these people involved. And I went up to Brisbane and got stuck up in Brisbane for 2 years over COVID, and barely was able to step foot in store number 1 in Albury for a long time. And that's a true testament to the great leaders that I've got in the Albury store. So I've had some great people come in, and people that, as I said before, came from a different industry altogether. Like Ty, who's a radiologist, came over, and he was our best customer from day one. And when I was looking at opening up Brisbane, I knew I needed a good, stable leader in to come into the Albury store, and he did. He took the pay cut. He came over. He
moved.
Was fully invested.
Moved from Albury. Wow.
Oh no, sorry. He stayed in Albury.
Right, got it.
So he looked after Albury when I moved to Brisbane.
Got it.
So and yeah, he's part owner in those stores, and he's still loving it to this day. So I mean, that's an example of someone that's changed their life to come and help the better cause of which is Greenstreat. But in saying that, I've kissed a few toads along the way as well. So I don't see anything as a failure. It is a failure, but as long as you're learning from it, it's not a failure. So there's been a couple of instances that have caused sleepless nights and just put you in situations you don't want to be in, and at the end of the day, that they're not at Greenstreat anymore because we don't deal with people that aren't good and genuine and for the better cause. So I've definitely had some sleepless nights over some people that just try and take you for a ride. Really, that they know what they want. They've got no interest to help the team. And at the end of the day, it becomes so obvious. But the biggest thing that needs to happen as a leader, you need to look after your team. Your team's looking for you to help them and to make them feel safe. So you've got to take action as soon as you possibly can. It's really important at Greenstreat.
And have you gotten better or bolstered your recruitment process so you got a lot less mishires, and so those people don't get into the team, or just lean on your probation period and get rid of someone once you realise they're not a good fit?
Oh, the probation period's there, but for us, we're always trying to innovate. It's one of our core values. We have alongside this question, we have a whole thing around staff wellness, hooligan wellness, and they do surveys, and every day when they clock in, they answer a series of questions, and when they clock out, they answer a series of questions, and we get real live data about how they're feeling on a shift, on a day-to-day basis. And we have a game plan within our service that it's like a game of footy. You play the people to their best positions on that day, and if they're not feeling it, then let's not put them in a customer-facing position. There's pre-order, there's kitchen, there's all that sort of stuff. So we utilize that to make sure people feel okay about coming to work and all that sort of thing. And it works really well. But to go back to your question about recruiting, where the team has developed a series of questions that try to identify key traits that we think need to be a hooligan. It starts with service, and then those same questions, it could be the complete opposite side of the spectrum, where you've got a manager or a leader should answer this one, but a hooligan should answer this side. So we've got you can put your resume in if you want. We'll look at the resume, but these series of questions is what rates a hooligan that we see. So there's definitely some tweaking to be done, but we think it's starting to give us a pretty clear picture of who will work and who won't work before we get them into that trial period.
Yeah, it's good. What are some of the things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
Transparency, number one. If you're not transparent, you're not going to get it. You need to have that all-inclusive mentality. Getting people in on the decisions, like from a store level. I heard this in a podcast not long ago from I don't know what his name is, but the Pret a Manger in London. He started that, and it's a fantastic podcast. But he's just a brilliant man. One of the things he talked about was that all-inclusive behavior that he saw, and as a leader hiring, if all it takes is one bad leader to just be selfish and hire the people they want to hire, not the people that the team want, that can cause this culture that doesn't work. So just little 1%ers, like at 4:00 each day, everyone that was working alongside the person in that trial period would vote yes or no to that person getting hired or not. And that's that example of all inclusiveness, that it's their decision. They created that decision to get that person in. They're actively creating that team that makes them want to come to work on a Monday. It's a staggering percentage of people that on a Sunday night get that, I don't want to go to work.
So many people hate their job.
Yeah, it's staggering. It's huge, and it needs to change. But good culture, an easy way to measure it is that how many of your employees or how many of your hooligans are feeling that. And if it was getting high, you've got to question yourself. You've got to question what you're doing. We want everyone to just want to come to work and have fun. So I suppose we play that balance pretty finely of having fun versus making sure that we are doing the job at hand, because everyone in that store needs to have fun, whether it's a shift or whether it's coming for that lunch break. We can turn around someone's day pretty easily. So building culture it's not a plug and play. It takes a lot of effort, and it takes continuous effort to make sure it stays. And it takes innovation too. You've got to keep finding new ways to exceed expectations.
Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
Oh, it comes and goes. It definitely comes and goes. You take the next step forward. Once you think you've found balance, you take that next step. You might open another shop. You might bring on another key pillar of the business that creates more work. You're never going to fully find balance while you're growing and while you're changing and while you're adapting. I think the main thing for me that I've learned, probably the hard way, I've got a beautiful wife and a beautiful daughter and about to be 2. For me, as soon as I get home, I'm just dad and a husband. I switch off all my phones. There's no notifications anymore. I get a ridiculous amount of emails that I'll never be able to reply to anyway. So what's the point of trying to do it at night? At the moment for me, it's about identifying the hours that I want to spend with my family. And when I'm at work, I am laser focused. I'm getting shit done all the time. Things that push the needle in the right direction.
And how much professional development have you invested in yourself?
Professional development, over the period, I'm always working on myself. I'm always trying to push myself further to meet new people, to learn new things. I'm a social person, naturally. So, going out, I think you probably meet and network the most when you go out and just talk to as many people as you can. One of my things that I always had was whenever I went to a wedding, I'd have to make sure that I talked to every single person. And
Don't go
can't
to
do
any
that
Greek wedding. Greek weddings,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
massive.
no,
My
yeah.
cousin
That's what.
married. Yeah.
Well, mate, that's a
Jeez.
challenge. That's a challenge. No, yeah, no, within reason. But I, I just, I'm really good at absorbing information and taking it on and understanding how I can turn that into something that we use or make a Green Street version of it. Really. So just by talking to people and putting myself out there, and I'm not talking over a span of 5 years at Green Street. I'm talking about since I can remember, just being at the restaurant, even with mum and dad, like just being in the kitchen with 40-year-olds when I was 13. I was doing the same thing then, just naturally talking to people and learning at that point in time. So that's the biggest thing for me, is being able to develop that way. In terms of like investing time into books and podcasts and just anything that audio books. I do that every single day. I
Yep.
listen to a podcast or a book every single morning, every single night, while I'm running home from work or when I'm on the ferry on the way into work. I get a good probably hour and a half every day of some sort of audio.
That's great. That's really good.
Yeah,
Have you had mentors or coaches along the way?
not as such. I've had great people that have helped me with big business decisions or even just little things that are worrying me. I haven't had an official mentor as such. I've just had a lot of great people that have done amazing things in their profession, that are all willing to help. Because, as you know, Troy, like when you've done it, you can add so much value to people that are doing it, and you can see what people don't know, and they don't know that what they don't know yet. So if you can just curve them a little bit and help them just 1% and make such a difference. So yeah, for me, I've just sponged off as many people as I possibly can.
Do you have a board of directors or advisors?
Yeah, we've got just the four of us as directors, three brothers plus Jason. So yeah, that we're the directors, just internal.
All right, Jackson, we're on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing growing a small business?
Uh, just scaling, moving forward. When things change a little bit, making sure that everyone remembers why we started out, why we're doing this, what our mission is, and aligning with those core values. That's been the hardest thing, is just making sure everyone's on that same page always and forever. So I'm not thinking that it's ever going to go away. I just need to keep curving it.
Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
A recent one that I read, and me being in the hospitality industry all my life, was, what was it called? Unreasonable Hospitality, by Will Garter, the guy that started, or he didn't start it, but he owned 11 Madison Park or
I
Square,
think I heard
the
about
restaurant.
that. Yeah. And he talks about some of the exceptional experiences they give their guests. Was it
Yeah, yeah,
one was a hot dog example, is that right?
yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's brilliant. Like, I mean, he'd be a hard man to work for, I reckon. But some of the things that he's done is just like mind-boggling good, and that's what you get when you have the time and the energy to be able to have a number one restaurant in the world.
I heard him on Donald Miller's podcast. I'm going back right through the back catalogue 7 or 8 years ago. So Donald Miller, have you read the Story Brand book?
I haven't, no.
No, I'll send that through to you. But
No.
it's a great book, and for clarifying your message, he's really good. But he has some great guests on, and that author you just mentioned was one of them. And that example of in his restaurant, really high fine dining restaurant in New York, I think, wasn't it? But one of the team members overheard some customers just came in saying, "Oh, pity we didn't get to try a New York hot dog while we're here because they're flying back overseas." And so they just went out and bought what they needed to make it for them and surprised them, and they were just elated with that experience because the team obviously listened and paid attention and delivered an exceptional experience.
Well, to just clarify that a little bit more, he actually just went to a hot dog stand around the corner and bought a New York hot dog and put it on and cut it in half, made it look nice. So it was a traditional one. but that's a great example of this book. It makes you understand that you can go that extra mile, and to put it back on the staff within that restaurant. Like, one of the things that he did was he would know his customers so well, and he'd go and look at what they're doing, and usually he would get a million people in there that were just doing a review, like writing down notes of like blah blah blah. What One night, this lady was sitting there enjoying the meal, and next to her, she was painting every dish. Oh, sorry, she was sketching every dish, and she was just like, he was just really curious about what she's doing and why she's doing it. So he ended up sitting with her and questioning, what it is she's doing. She told him that she likes to visualize the dish, and the way she remembers it is by going home, painting it, putting it on the wall, and just enjoying it that way. He got her contact details, and he actually employed her to paint things for staff members that. So, as an example, someone moved from, I think it was Texas to New York, and was homesick. So he got her to paint their family house from Texas,
Oh, wow.
and gave it to them in their pre-service dinner that they have together. So just going that little extra mile, like, it just does so much for team culture and morale.
Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
I listen to a lot of Guy Raz's How I Built This. He has some great people on there, really interesting people that can share some great experiences. The new one, DOC, can't remember, I meant to blank on his name, but there's just a lot of great podcasts out there, business podcasts that you can listen to. I just keep going through them all. If you want to keep it relevant, listen to the Australian ones. It really keeps you in tune with what's happening in Australia. Sometimes if you get too carried away with what's happening in America and England, you can lose it a little bit. So another book, just quickly, was Grinding It Out by Ray Kroc, who was
Founder of
ended up being
yeah.
No, not the founder. They brought out that movie about it, but that was the Hollywood version. His count of events obviously are different, but the nitty-gritty that he gets into about McDonald's and scaling is insane. So that was another great book that I would advise anyone in hospitality to read, or any industry really.
Yeah, that was a great movie. Michael Keaton, whose real name is actually Michael Douglas, but he obviously had to change that when he got to Hollywood because it was already one famous Douglas. That was a great movie. It's a great story. McDonald's, what Ray Kroc and the brothers did.
Yeah, absolutely. It was.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
When I talk about structure, making sure that you have something that can measure that structure or keep that structure in place. Rhythm and data is really important. Making sure that rhythm happens whatever it is that is important to the business. Whether it's weekly, daily, or hourly, as long as it keeps happening. Consistency is really, really important. So identifying that right platform early and getting it set up correctly from the get-go is really, really important. We use a lot of Atlassian's products like Jira and Confluence. We changed from Trello to Jira, which is more of a in-depth management program. But what it does is it keeps people accountable. You can really, you can delegate and make sure that people know what they're doing on a given day or hour or whatever it is. But if they need support, they can ask for support at a click of a button. But what it does is when you have those meetings or when you have those recurring get-togethers, that whatever your rhythm is, it keeps people accountable and you can see where people are up to.
Finally, my favorite question: what would you tell yourself on day one of starting out 5 years ago?
Hold on. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but if you have that right attitude, you're going to keep going. You're going to get through. But I think as naive as I was, even though I had another business at that point, nothing prepares you for the onslaught of hospitality and fast food, and especially when you're trying to do that at a big scale. You learn so much about yourself, and you learn so much about resilience, and keep continue on going. But as long as my attitude stays the way it is, that's the most important thing. So just hold on and have fun.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Jackson. I really enjoyed our chat, and congratulations to you, Jesse, your other brother, and the rest of the team on the growth so far over 5 years, now 5 stores from around, 5 full-time equivalents. Sounds like you started with to over 180 people, around the 100 full-time equivalent mark, and doing great things in the hospitality area, helping people eat better food and feel better about themselves, and cultivating that amazing culture that you've got there as well with an awesome team. So congratulations to you all.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
We're getting some great iTunes reviews. For those listening, please pop over to your podcast app and leave us a review.